Hi everyone, Nathan here from JS Powersports. In today's video we are going to cover the things you can do to your electrical system to help keep it strong and not burn up starters and CDIs and other electronic components. So the first thing we're going to start with is getting rid of the factory battery and going to the biggest, best lithium-ion battery that you can afford, which right now there's up to a 900 cold cranking amp that will fit into this stock 997 battery tray. The second thing that we're going to do is to make sure all the connectors are clean everywhere where it connects. This is back on the starter solenoid, which is cleared out underneath here, and then periodically on the starter itself. Now, the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to get a fuse line here, and we're going to totally disconnect our bilge system from the internal components here, the CDI, and we're going to run it separate on its own power and its own ground feed. And we're going to use, if you can see it, this underbar mounted switch right here. There's also another 3-position that you can put back in the tray if you like to go that route, but the handlebar one is much handier. We're also going to put a 12 gauge ground from this bolt here and about a 16-inch line, 18-inch line, and attach it to the intake manifold bolt right here. You'll also see this is where our bilge pump line is also attached to. Positive going right to the bilge pump with a fuse, and your negative line is interrupted right here by the switch that's up on the handlebar. Now, back inside, you can take and pull the cover off this fuse so that you can tell the fuse is good at all times. But the really recommended thing to do is buy the external fuse packs, and I'll show you a picture. This key just doesn't have it done yet. Buy the external fuse packs, which will attach here and here, and that way you can have your external fuses on each single circuit all separated out. Now, it's also important down here where the positive line comes in to the starter solenoid. There's this line that comes off it that feeds all of the electronics in here. You're going to want to run a thicker gauge wire with a ring terminal, which we recommend soldering on, and it goes around the positive terminal on the starter solenoid here and comes up and it will feed all of these different circuits. And remember, we talked about having the fuse pack going through here so that it all separates them out. The best thing to do is to remove this electrical box by pulling out the screws that are right back down in here, and the whole box will come up and out of there. And then at the bottom, where these posts are, they're very close to some of the metal, and this entire box is grounded. And where it's close to the metal, it can develop what's called a salt bridge or a rust bridge, where it actually tries to rust because of electrical current between the positive terminal and the ground. And so you can take a washer or two and space that out further. You can actually use a Teflon washer as well to just kind of space it further out away so that there's no metal in that area, and that will be helpful. The next thing we got to get all you guys to do is switch over to a plunger style primer if it's not going to get in your way for wild freestyle tricks and so on. This will pump in about 6 inches of fuel up that line versus the push button primers, which only move about 1/2 of an inch at a time. It takes forever to prime up these carburetors. The second thing is we got to get everyone to stop gluing their finger or thumb to the start buttons. If this thing doesn't start up by the time it turns over 5 or 6 times, you need to stop and fix the problem, which is usually not enough fuel into the carbs or unpressurized tank and fuel system, which there's plenty of other videos that we have on how to do that. And then also it's worth mentioning, if you do have an electronic component burn up somewhere here in the box, it's best to replace it with a good quality component. Not the cheap stuff you're going to find on eBay or Amazon that's most likely built in China to the cheapest of specifications. If you have something go bad like a voltage regulator and it's overfeeding the entire system at say 18 or 20 volts, you're going to fry everything in here. So just a quick recap here. Start with the best battery and make sure your system's all primed up here, ready to go. You've already beefed up all the wires through the whole entire system and soldered the connections inside the box there. And then when you go to start this thing up, if it doesn't start within 6 or 8 seconds, you want to stop and find out, does it have spark? Does it have fuel? What's it needing? And don't wear your battery down. Don't try to crank on the starter if your battery's super low, because all you're going to do is heat up all the electronic wiring and components and risk frying stuff. So just stop, fix the problem. If you do have good spark and you've got fuel and it's turning over, but you hear it backfiring, there's a chance that you've sheared the Woodruff key. And stop at that point. Don't keep cranking on your starter. You're going to need to take that stuff apart. You're going to need a special puller to pull the flywheel. All these parts are available on our website, jspowersports.com, along with a tech support page which has troubleshooting for a lot of the different components. So please use those resources. We'd like to see everyone out riding their skis, having a blast, but some of that starts with buying good quality components and so on. Don't go cheap. I mean, you spend a ton of money on this ski. Now's not the time to go cheap on things. Buy the best stuff you can afford, get it installed, and you'll be out on the water. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. We'll bring you some more videos.